Riding a motorcycle is one of the most controversial pastimes in the United States and around the world. This is because with less protection, obviously you have more accidents and fatalities, but you also have a very passionate group of riders who all say the same thing, that riding a motorcycle is life-changing. I'm going to teach you all in the most simplest form how to ride a motorcycle. I'm going to teach you how to move the bike, and I'm going to explain some of the most basic and fundamental parts of riding a motorcycle. Disclaimer, if you are going to start riding motorcycles, you should and absolutely need to take a motorcycle safety course. When you compare the people who learn how to ride at a motorcycle safety course versus the people who did not, the statistics are overwhelming. There are a lot more fatalities and crashes when you do not take formal training. This video is for entertainment, just to get a higher level understanding of how to ride a motorcycle and a little bit of understanding of how it actually works. But if you're going to ride a motorcycle, take the course. To start out, you should budget about $1,100 US for your gear. A good helmet's going to cost about $400 to $500, and then you're going to need jacket, you're going to need some riding pants, boots, and some gloves. For this exercise though, I'm not going to be using the gloves because I'm going to be showing you guys all the unique parts of a motorcycle. To sit down on a motorcycle, you want to make sure the kickstand is down, and what I like to do is I actually come from the high side and I grab this right here, which is the front brake, and then I swing my leg over. That's what I like to do. Now, when you're on a bike, I'm standing up and I'm flat-footed on this. When you're on a bike, you see these two things that look like bicycle brake calipers. However, this one on the left is your clutch. Very important. This one on the right is your front brake. To my bottom right here, you have the rear brake. You step on that to engage the brake on the back wheel, and to the left here you have your shift lever. Now this left side works together, the clutch and the shift lever work together, and the front and the rear work together. That's why they're on the same sides of each other. If you've ever driven a stick shift car, a motorcycle is standard like a stick shift car, but in a stick shift car you have 3 pedals. The leftmost pedal is the clutch. On a motorcycle, like I said, this is the clutch. When a motorcycle is still and in gear, the clutch needs to be in. If the bike is in gear and you want to move, then you slowly let the clutch out, which allows power to come from the engine to the wheels. On the simplest terms, when you pull in the clutch, it disengages it from the engine, and when you let it go, it connects to the engine. The front brake is your most powerful brake, being that the bike only has 2 wheels. The front brake is the brake that will stop you the quickest. Because of that, you need to be very careful and progressive with the brake. Most riders will end up crashing because they grab a handful of front brake. What you're taught and what's important to practice every time you ride a bike is you want to progressively pull in the front brake. And there's almost always more room to brake, but you want to do it progressive. I'm going to show you what happens if you're not progressive on the front brake. The bike dives. Now, if you're turning and the bike dives, you're going to fall. When people get nervous, they go to their instinct, they go to their habits, which is why we want to build good habits. This is never how you pull the front brake. This is how you pull the front brake. Okay, it's always progressive. The rear brake down here helps you stabilize the bike when the bike isn't moving and when it's at slow speeds. So a lot of parking lot practice, you may be engaging the rear brake. Okay, one of the biggest differences you'll see when you first start riding a motorcycle is how the key interacts with the bike. On a motorcycle, the key does not ignite the bike like it does for a car. It simply just turns on the electronics. So here, I've turned on the electronics of the bike, but the bike is not started, it's not doing anything. I have the bike in neutral. I can press down to go to first, and now I'm in first gear, and this is with the clutch engaged. If I want to go to second, I pull up to second, and then I just keep pulling up all the way to 6th gear, which is how many gears my bike has. When the bike is in neutral, you can rock it forward and backwards. When the bike is in gear and you do not have the clutch in, it's going to be locked. If you try to turn the bike on while it's in gear and you do not have the clutch in, it will not start. You can turn on the electronics, but it will not start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up into neutral, and remember, it goes first, neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And every time I'm clicking up, I have to pull in the clutch, okay? And I'm gonna hit what's called the kill switch. When I hit this red button, it's gonna allow gas, it's gonna allow fuel to go into the engine, so that when I hit the ignition button down here, the bike will start. So I'm gonna hit this button, and you're gonna hear the fuel come in. And then I'm gonna start the bike. Now the bike is on. Again, neutral allows you to rock the bike, move the bike. If I have the bike on and it's in first gear, I need to have the clutch in. If I don't have the clutch in, the bike will stall. For example, I'm gonna pull the clutch in, I'm gonna click down in the first gear. If I let the clutch out too fast, not progressive enough, the bike will stall, just like that. It's very aggressive. Okay, so now I can start the bike again when I have the clutch in, but if I don't have the clutch in, the bike will not start. I'm gonna pull the clutch in first. That's what the clutch does. The clutch is the thing that helps you move. This is the throttle. This is just a handlebar right here. So I'm gonna click back into neutral. If you have the clutch in, the throttle will not move you anywhere. It will move the RPMs of the motor up, but because the clutch is in, the engine will not be connected to the wheels. The engine will not be propelling the wheels forward. Once the clutch is out and you are in gear, especially if you're moving, that's when the throttle will be moving the bike. A bad habit with the throttle, similar to the rear brake, is to go all the way. What you do not want to do is yank the throttle all the way down. That's a great way to accidentally wheelie, flip up, land on your head, die. What you want to do is you want to practice, and I'm gonna turn the bike off for this. You want to practice while the bike is off, going quarter of a turn. You don't need to go more than a quarter of a turn. So if you need to practice, figure out where that fool is, and then remember you're not going here ever. What you need to go is about right there. This simple amount, I'm going to show you guys what it does to the RPMs. This will get you where you need to go. So I'm going to turn the bike on again. Hear the gas. Turn it on. Simple amount. We're moving. And that's how it works. Now, the complicated thing of riding a motorcycle is the relationship between the clutch and the throttle. So that's what we're going to go over right now. So I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to click the bike in first gear. Now, the clutch will allow me to get the bike going for some bikes up to 10 miles per hour. So what we need to do is practice letting out the clutch so you have the bike move. Okay, this is the exciting part. Now that we know that we want the throttle to be no more than a quarter in, we can start working with the clutch. The bike is on, and what I'm going to do now the bike is in gear, my feet are flat on the ground, so I'm going to slowly let out the clutch. Okay, I'm letting out the clutch. At some point it's going to catch and the bike's going to start moving. I'm not pushing it, the bike is moving. And now I'm just going to take steps and I'm going to walk with the bike as it moves. I'm going to take steps and I'm going to walk with the bike as it moves. Now what we did in my course is we would go up and down walking, and we started slow, and eventually your steps are fewer and farther between. And when you feel that, you can slowly let the bike out a little bit more. See the RPMs going up. RPMs race per minute. Essentially the engine is moving faster, which is allowing the wheels to move faster. So now I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm gonna let the clutch out a little bit more. And my feet are no longer on the ground. And now I can bring my feet up to the pedals. Now remember, the bike is moving and I have not brought any throttle into the mix at all. I'm just letting go of the clutch and I'm holding it at this catch point right here. This is, you want to find the sweet spot for your clutch. So now I'm going to come to a stop using that front brake. just a little bit. You see how a little bit of that front brake I can use for it to stop, right? So I just slowly come to a stop. I'm gonna pull in the clutch again. I'm gonna click the bike half gear up into neutral. I suggest you do that for about 30 minutes. Your hands really should start to get tired from letting that clutch in and out. The next part we're gonna do is we're just gonna add a little bit of throttle. So I'm gonna go around, and this time I'm gonna get my legs comfortable on the bike again, and I'm gonna slowly give it throttle. Now the relationship here is, as I let out the clutch and I get to that sweet spot, that's when I want to start rolling on the throttle. If I let out the clutch too far past that and I'm in gear, remember it's gonna stall. So once I get to that sweet spot where I can really feel the clutch, when I get to that sweet spot where the RPM start to go down, that's when I want to bring in the throttle. I'm gonna show you. So I'm letting out the clutch. If I let it out a little further, I'm going faster, right? Now I'm going downhill, so this is accelerating, but then when we get over here, we're gonna be going uphill a little bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna let the clutch out even further, and you're gonna hear the bike start to stutter a little bit. Right here, it's starting to shake a little bit. It's starting to stutter. If I let it all the way out, I'm going fast enough right now to let it out, all right. But if I'm going slower, so you see it starting to shake a little bit when I let it out. If I let it out, it's gonna stall if I let it out too quick. Okay. Once I get past that sweet spot, it's gonna stall if I'm not going fast enough. All right. So what I want to do, start the bike again, and when I get to that stutter point, really about right here, where I can hear the RPMs going down, that's when I'm going to start to add in the throttle. So I feel the RPMs going down a little bit right there, and I was going to add a little bit of throttle, and you can hear the RPMs going up. I have so little throttle right now, but it's all I need, and before you know it, I'm no longer needing to pull in the clutch. And I just rolled a little bit onto the throttle. I'm going 8 miles an hour. A lot of people struggle because they just want to gun it. There's no need to gun it. Take your time. I'm using so little throttle. Look at how this is. Just a little bit of throttle goes a long way. Don't mind my hands being active. Okay? Now, while I'm moving, if I want to go to second gear, once I'm above a certain RPM, for most bikes, you probably want to do it after 5 RPM, right? This is the RPM right there. And I'm going to second gear. I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to roll off the throttle, right? So I'm going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, and then click up to second gear. Kind of like I did when I was in neutral and I clicked down in the first. I'm going to click up to second. So I'm going to go throttle. I'm on the throttle right now. What I'm going to do, roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, click up to second gear, and that same interaction we did where we slowly let out the clutch and roll on the throttle. Smooth. Now, for you guys, it's going to be probably a little bit more choppy. You're going to be like, whoom, whoom, whoom. I'll show you actually. For you guys, it's probably going to be more like this, where it's like a little choppy at first, but you just want to keep working on the smoothness. Everything in motorcycling is about consistently trying to get smoother. You want to consistently brake smoother. You want to consistently accelerate smoother. But don't look now, guys. We are riding. And to get from second to third, it's a similar process. Roll up throttle, clutch in, pull up to 3, and then clutch out. But you see, I was going slow, so it's not really smooth right there, right? So I'm going to come back to second, slowly let the clutch out. To go down in gear, what you do, you roll off throttle, pull in clutch, and you just step down as opposed to step up. Okay? That's how you go down in gear. So I'm going to click into neutral. Okay. That's how you move on the simplest of turns. The next thing is how you stop. So similar to how we let out the clutch slowly, we want to pull in the brake slowly. So what I'm gonna do now is, and when I pull in the brake, I want to pull in, and when I brake, I want to pull in the front brake and slowly press the right brake and slowly press the rear brake at the same time. I don't want to go here and then here. I want to do these at the same time, okay? So I'm going to move forward, and then I'm going to slowly push down with my foot and pull in with my hand. The goal is to do everything together, everything smooth. It takes practice, and even till today, after I've ridden almost 40,000 miles, I'm always practicing trying to brake smoother. So, because it's that one moment when someone pulls in front of you that you need to know how to go from fast to slow without breaking anything. Okay, without dropping the bike or anything like that. Building those habits are what makes you a really good rider and what helps make you safe. Now, the last thing I want to cover, and when it comes to braking, there are more advanced techniques, but the one that you'll learn in the course is braking at the same time, left and right. And when you're turning, you don't want to brake with your right brake, because when you're turning, it's the front that's turning. It's the front that's controlling the turning. If you brake with your right brake, that can slide the tire. That's an extremely advanced technique that most racers use, not something you want to use on the street with other cars and stuff like that. So if you have to brake during the turn, you want to slowly, and I mean slowly, pull in the front brake. And that's like if you're lean, you want to slowly pull in that front brake. But if you are lean and you get a handful of brake, you're gonna crash. Like the bike's just gonna fall. Right? Just think of it this way. I'm going here, I'm lean, the bike is falling. And that was at 1 mile an hour. At 20, you're on the ground. So the goal that they teach you in the motorcycle safety course is that you don't want to turn. You want to do all your brake before the turn. So if I'm turning here, then I want to come here and I want to slow down before the turn and then hit the turn. I don't want to have to brake during the turn. And then there are more advanced techniques, but this is a beginner video. So last thing. So now you know how to go in a straight line. You know how to stop. Okay. When you stop, another thing you want to do that they teach you at first is, let's say I'm in second gear. I'm in second gear and I'm coming to a stop. What they teach you at the motorcycle safety course is to worry about stopping, and if you're going to stop, pull in that clutch. Because remember, the clutch takes away the throttle's connectivity to the engine, right? I got the clutch in, I'm not going anywhere. Clutch out, now I'm going somewhere. Make sense? So if I'm going to stop, I'm pulling in the clutch and I'm using the brake. Okay? Again, if I'm going to stop, pull in the clutch, use the brake. Okay? Now, unlike the brake, I pull in the clutch quicker. I let out the clutch smooth, pull in the clutch quicker. And for the brake, I pull in the brake smooth. And then you can let it out. You can let it out smoothly, you can let it out quickly. But when we're moving and I'm coming to a stop, I'm pulling in the clutch and I'm pulling in the front brake, foot on the rear brake. It's good if you're stopped at a light to keep this foot on the rear brake at all times and to keep the bike in gear, just in case someone's coming behind you and they may be about to hit you. That way you can accelerate off the line quick. But that's one of the advanced things. The last thing that I want to cover real quick is turning. In a motorcycle, a lot of people don't understand counter steering. I'm not going to get into the science of it too much, but motorcycle turning is all about eyes, body position, and technique on the handlebars. So if I want to turn through that corner and I'm going to be taking a left turn, I need to push. I'm pushing this handlebar away the direction I want to go. So if I want to go left, I'm pushing left. If I want to go right, I'm pushing right, okay? And that's what's going to help me lean and drop down. If I want to go left, I push left, and then I look where I want to go. So if I want to, let's go over here. So if I want to go through that little pathway in the middle, I'm not going to look here because I'm just going to keep going here if I look here. I want to look all the way through the turn. So if I'm turning over there, my eyes are going to be over there, if that makes sense, right? I'm not going to be looking here, turn there. A lot of people mess that up in life too. They're looking where they don't want to go as opposed to where they do. That's like when you're talking about people you don't like and stuff like that, you don't realize you actually turning into them. So look, if I'm turning this left, I'm not going to look here, I'm going to look to the left. All right, looking to the left, making my turn. And I'm looking as far through my turn as I can. So if I want to turn left here, I'm not looking here, I'm looking as far through my turn as I can. Now I'm looking through the gravel and stuff so I know what I need, so I'm looking as far through my turn. And I'm looking through the obstacles and stuff so I know what's in front of me, but at the end of the day I'm looking all the way through my turn. If I'm going to do a U-turn, then I need to be looking to where I'm U-turning. So I'm doing a U-turn, I'm looking to where I'm U-turning. If I want to do another U-turn, I need to look where I'm going. A good way to practice this is to continuously do a couple circles. And you see I have my foot on the rear brake just a little bit to give me some stabilization. Now I suggest you practice in a much clearer parking lot than this. This parking lot is actually quite dangerous because it has so many rocks. Okay. And if I get nervous here, right, I'm not going to yank on the throttle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the clutch, and then I'm going to pull in that front brake. I press on the rear brake, put those feet back.